What's up, guys? This is John from Acosta Productions here today with Paul Lear, who is now in New Zealand, I believe. Is that correct, Paul?
That is correct.
Awesome. Paul is a colorist at Images and Sound in New Zealand, and he is a fantastic colorist. We have the pleasure of having him with us today, even though it is late. I believe it's somewhere around 11:15, 11 something nighttime.
Something like that.
Yeah,
Yes.
so it's absolutely a pleasure to have you today, man. How's it going today?
Oh, thank you very much. No, it's going great. Good to be here to do this.
Tell us, I guess, your full name, Paul, and what it is you actually do on a day-to-day basis.
My wife asked that same question, actually. Yes. No, look, my name is Paul Lear. I've been in this industry 22 years. Started in the industry in LA, in Santa Monica, and have been in New Zealand now for about 12 years.
Wow. Okay, so you started in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yes.
And so I have to ask, what brought you to New Zealand? Was it work? Was it your wife?
No, she's an American. Met there. You know what it was? It was a sense of adventure to both of us like to travel, and it was to kind of see other places around the world and try to work at the same time. I had done demo work at NAB for a couple manufacturers, and when I came to New Zealand, one of the salespeople was here and kind of hooked me up with a couple companies to go interview. That way I could kind of do a holiday / tax business write-off, and interviewed, and that was it. I kind of got a job, and we said if we weren't going to leave, and take this, we would keep talking about this forever, like everyone does about doing things, and never do it. And so we just kind of sold everything in the States, lived with my parents for about a month and a half, and then moved here.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love to hear stories like that where people just kind of up and go to somewhere they're very uncomfortable or just they're not familiar with. And that's really cool. I actually, going back to NAB, just so you guys know, NAB is the National Association for Broadcasters. Is that the same NAB you're talking about?
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
cool. In fact, I actually went to their conference in Vegas this year, where they announced a bunch of really cool stuff. So if you guys don't ever get a chance, it's an amazing place to go. I guess they hold a convention once a year, but they also have a lot of stuff they're doing in the background. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, I usually just go to the convention. Yeah, it's crazy. If you've never been, it's an amazing thing. You won't believe what's there until you get there.
You can't even cover it all in one sitting. I tried to go through the whole thing. I couldn't do it. I mean, I was there for 3 days out of the whole, essential week. But yeah, I still couldn't get through it. So I gotta catch up where I started next year, I guess. It's a great place to go. Yeah. So okay, going back to that though, New Zealand, you were working in Los Angeles, took off, and now you're there, and that's pretty awesome. So how long has it been since you left?
It's been 12 years, and we started with just kind of a 2-year plan. We had work visas for 2 years and said this is what we'll do, and we'll move on to another country. And well, here we are still. Two kids later, we're still here.
That's wonderful, man. And I gotta ask, how's the change going from the States to a whole other country? And granted, you speak English, but aside from that, what's the culture like?
Well, it is British English, so it is different. I do have a U now in Colorist. I've earned that. Look, it's different. It's to leave. Even if you were living on the west coast of the States and you moved to the east coast, it's a big change. And then multiply that by even more to live. Way down in New Zealand where most people probably can't even point on a map. It was quite different. I mean, my wife did not come on my initial visit, and probably a mistake. Bring your partners.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's what they say, right?
Yes, it'd be wise. And then look, we just kind of ended up here. It's work-wise, it is very different. I freelance around the world, which is something we can discuss later, to kind of keep things going. Because even though you hear of Peter Jackson and the big films that kind of come out of here, there's a lot of work that is just work that we do. I work on Power Rangers, so that's another American one that we do.
Very cool.
But it's
Sorry to interrupt you there. That's awesome, though. Yeah. What's the fun of it?
Yeah, but it's it's experience. I definitely recommend traveling, to anyone. And this industry is one of those things that we can specialize in enough that, we can do that. Like I said, I travel, around the world, leave the country 4 to 5 times a year doing what I do, really.
Fantastic. And it's funny, you're touching on all the points that I continuously tell all of our students here. And essentially, always, essentially do what you love, no matter where it is. In this industry, it doesn't matter where you are. You can essentially do it. Leaving from East Coast to West Coast, I did that recently. It was a complete culture shock. I went from Atlanta to California. I moved into Northern California. And man, it was different, and I loved it. The change was so progressive to me. So it was a treat. And for you, I'm assuming New Zealand's probably kind of like that as well. It sounds like it.
Yes, little yes. Let's say this, much slower than LA. It took quite a while to kind of get used to that.
I see. Yeah, LA is a fast-paced city for sure. But
yes,
if there's anything that Lord of the Rings has taught us, it's that's a gorgeous country. So.
Oh, hey, look, it is. There's no doubt about that. And
right.
I mean, it's great because literally in about 20 minutes from my house, I can kind of be in the middle of the country, and we can go to beaches here within 40 minutes and be pretty much the only people on the beach. So it is crazy. And I live in Auckland, which is the biggest city in New Zealand.
Right. So I've heard. That's pretty awesome, man. All right, Paul. So let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about how you actually got into being a colorist or production in general. Where did you start? How did you? What made you go, oh, I want to do that, and then suddenly now you're doing this? Tell us about it.
So long ago, really, in grade school, in high school. I kind of just picked up a video camera, did things. My high school, I went to Huntington Beach High School in Orange County, California, and they had a whole TV studio, and that's really kind of where I got into it. I had no idea what a colorist was. Let's be completely honest. Most people don't even know what a colorist is, and that's fine. I don't color hair. I can tell you that.
Okay, time out. We actually probably should cover, for everyone that's watching, we need to find what a colorist actually is. So let's what is a colorist, Paul?
What is a colorist? It's usually the step after editing, and I can adjust just like you can in Photoshop, just like you used to do when you develop photos at a photo lab. I can adjust density, I can adjust colors, and I can compensate for cloudy days, sunny days. If you have a 2-camera shoot, if you have a 1-camera shoot, and the sun goes in and out, I can compensate for that. That's kind of the basic of what a colorist does. It used to, back when I started, basically a colorist was the one that transferred your film to some kind of videotape. I was going to say digital format, but they were not really digital at that point.
Right.
But that's really how it started. And now you take footage shot on location or in a studio. Not only do your users will probably know, your followers, that certain cameras have flat gamma type things that you can shoot in, and then you go apply LUTs to that. Well, this is kind of a very special glorified LUT. I can use their generic LUT, but then it's to add that in. And then on top of it, then there's all the extra things you can do. Isolating colors, changing them, isolating portions of the screen, making it brighter, darker. It's to help tell the story and to make sure that your viewer is looking at the right part in the frame.
It's like a coloring book, and you get to color it whatever colors you want. Is that right?
Yes, and I mean, look, it's you kind of think what you can do in Photoshop, apply that to a moving image, which is a little different, but it's that type of it's those type of tool sets.
And from what we know now, what we gather with regards to the digital age, I mean, you can edit down to the pixel, right? You can edit down to every single pixel could be a different color, and that could be you doing that, and then essentially rotoscoping it from there, right? Or making it change within every frame. That's essentially how detailed you can get, correct?
Yes, you can, but colorists don't usually get quite that detailed. We're very good. The flame artist I work with just makes fun of us colorists because basically. He has to go in, like you're saying, pixel by pixel, rotoscope things, cut it out. Mm-hmm. A colorist, basically, we draw a loose shape around someone and feather it, and that makes it, because the color isn't quite, you don't notice it the same.
I never thought that colorists would have something against other people that are rotoscoping for graphics. Just so you guys know, Rotoscoping means it's when you take, let's say, an error inside of a shot, and you edit it frame by frame. So you're taking out maybe somebody's arm or something in the background, and you would take it every single frame, you take it out, and then move it to the next frame, and then take that individual piece out again, so that it looks normal when it plays in real time. For you, it's not as hard, I'm assuming. So they're making fun of you because of this, which is.
Yeah. Oh, look. Hey, I don't have the patience to do that. There is no chance.
I know. By all means, I've had to. It's a pain in the ass for sure. But being a colorist, though, I think there's a lot more creativity involved because you get to put your own flair. And I guess that's my next question to you. As a colorist who works at a big post studio, how much creativity do you actually have, or how is it limited to what the producers want, or what are you allowed to do or not do?
You know what? It all depends on the project and the clients that you work for. If it's clients and it's a television commercial, yes, you have agency there. There's certain things you have to do, but you have a little bit more freedom at times. Versus, say, a television drama that you would watch, you would know every time they go into the house or they go into their bedroom or something, it looks the same. And so it's pretty cut and dry. They have certain looks on the scenes. And you just apply that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite that easy, but that works.
It's not a right-click copy, nothing like that. Right?
I know. No, and because they changed the lighting for the close-ups versus the wide shots and things, and everything has to match. I mean, really, my goal, the first thing a colorist does is make sure that every shot is seamless and goes into the next shot and looks like the same location, and that's really the first step.
I haven't dabbled into coloring as much as I probably should. I have a guy that does that for me myself. And again, I think it's an art in and of itself because you have to calibrate your screen. You have to make sure that everything is 100% golden at every aspect of your frames, and you have to make sure that everything sticks together. So I guess in a sense for me, it's like rotoscoping with color involved. And I guess that's just my take because I'm not a colorist. But I respect your work, Paul.
Yeah, no, look, it is, and that really is the thing to make it balanced, and you really, as much as you can add into it and to help tell the story. At the same point, you don't want the viewer to really see what you're doing. If you watch a television show or commercial, it might have a look, but that's about it. You don't want it to stand out. It has to kind of fit in, and that really is the trick of how far you can push certain footage, but still make it look like it fits within the movie or that television drama or in that commercial. I mean, it's and there's not that there's rules, but there's things you have to do. I mean, obviously, if it's a commercial that's supposed to be happy and it needs to be nice and warm and golden tones and things like that. If it's a horror thing you're working on, then you can go dark and blue, and it's just knowing that there's that artistic creative side that you kind of have to follow at the same time.
Very cool. Now, you said that you started in grade school, essentially high school, playing with the camera. I think that's how most of us got involved. I was the same way, trying to create my own films at age 12 and such, friends and all that. What happened from there, though? Did you go to school at all? You said you went to school in Los Angeles. Did you take internships from there, or what was the next step to getting into that process?
Yeah, look, I tried school. Probably too many times for my parents, but I did try. But no, look, it wasn't for me. I got lucky. My father is in banking and leased some video equipment to someone who happened to work at a post facility, not with that equipment, but different equipment. I had no idea at that time what a colorist was. I had done one project on film, and we had it transferred, but didn't sit in on that session, didn't really understand that process. And so basically, no, it wasn't an internship. It was kind of an open door into a post facility, into a color suite. And basically, I was allowed to be there. It's pretty much the simple terms as it was. There was nothing arranged. It was very, made very clear to me that I was there on my own time, and I could come and go as I pleased. If I showed up the next day and could be helpful, that was great. And if I didn't, that was okay too. And it took 3 months of 10-hour plus days and me almost out of money at that point before another assistant, so this is even me coloring, this is just assisting for a colorist, went on holiday, went on vacation, and they needed someone to fill in the spot, and I was the only one at that whole facility that actually knew, well, other than the people working, that could fill in. And so I happened to finally, get a paycheck.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think the main point there is just put yourself in that place. Put yourself in a visible zone where people can notice you, whether it be with your work or as an intern or as an assistant. If you get lucky, if you can find a position like that, put yourself in the eyes of people that can hire you or potentially put you in that place. Is that right?
It is. Yeah, it is. And it was funny you say that because I just had talked to someone about, someone starting out, and her comment was, she had talked to friends about this industry and them, working for free. And I kind of stopped that right away and said, look, the last thing you want to do is go to a post house or some production or studio and say you'll work for free, because then you're working for free. You are working, you're supposed to be there, and it's now on their terms, not yours. So be careful about what you say getting in that door. It's fine if you go in. My suggestion to her was go in, say you're completely interested in this, you'd love to spend time there, and we'll see what happens from there. At least, gain some control. Don't get stuck by saying you're working for free, because that's not good for anyone.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Your chance of actually working there after saying that and getting a paycheck is probably pretty slim.
You're absolutely right. It's very hard to change somebody's mindset of what the value of what you're worth or what your work is worth when they've already got you set to something low like free. Free of all. Yeah. It's really hard to get paid after free. So
look, it is. Well, look, you look really expensive after free, I have to say.
Oh, absolutely. Anything over free is essentially super expensive. Yes. Always set your own standards, I guess. Always set your own bar to what you will and won't do. Is that right?
Yes. And look, and then pretty much it took about 2.5 years on an overnight shift to finally become a colorist. And that was because, look, I kept learning, I kept training, I stayed extra, I showed up to my shift every day early, and basically because at that point, now we can talk about the software that I use now and other people can use. At that time, the rooms that I worked in were, say $2 million. You didn't have this on your laptop. And the only way you could get time was to be there. And I lucked out. The colorist that I worked for basically said, look, set it up. If you want to color the first shot, I'll give you a critique. So every day I showed up early, colored the first shot. He came in, gave me a critique, and we moved on. And that's, look, it took a long time. Coloring's a hard thing. You have to get your eyes kind of used to things and not to trick you. But it was that continuous effort. It wasn't me just sitting back going, oh, I work at a post, facility and, they owe me something. It was not like that at all.
Right. It was a progressive movement to get yourself to the next level, right?
Yes.
Very cool. I guess so with that, I'd like to ask you you've got years of experience under your belt now, so could you tell us what the most awesome, ridiculous, badass thing you've worked on has been in your 12 years of experience? I know there's probably quite a few, so you can take a minute to think about it. But there's got to be something, right?
No, look, there's two. There's one that everyone's going to know. I used to work on South Park.
Oh my God, it's awesome.
So it's one of those crazy fun things you do. Obviously not really creative at all, but just cool to work on. That was probably it. Crazy kind of experience overall, not only just the project but everywhere. I did a feature film in Moscow called Dead Daughters. I went to Moscow twice, about 9 years ago, I think. And so not only going there is just an experience in itself, but working on a horror flick in Russia, kind of speaking English, kind of not. It was just exciting, and the footage was just beautiful. I mean, it was just amazing film to work on visually, and so it was great. It just everything kind of combined into one crazy project.
That's awesome. How was that? How was the actual film itself? How did it, like the storyline? How did it turn out? Was it worth watching?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Cool.
It's crazy. Look, it's a weird horror film, and it's just about and you know what? Most of the time, I had no idea even what it was about. The kind of post supervisor sat in with me at times and kind of described the scene to me because look, visually you could kind of see, obviously, something's coming through a wall or someone's dying because of something.
Mm-hmm.
but really the actual story behind it, I had no idea until, quite far into the film did I finally kind of put everything together, what was happening.
That's funny. You're coming from a color standpoint, so you're not necessarily the editor, which means you don't have to know the story because you're not assembling the pieces, right? You're just a piece to the puzzle, essentially. So it's got to be interesting to be working on something going, what the heck is this? I don't even understand what's going on. So I'd love to see it, though. So if you tell us that name one more time, the name of the movie.
Yeah, it's Dead Daughters.
Dead Daughters, okay. Can we find that on Netflix, or is there anywhere that we could rent that from?
I don't know. I'll have to look. I do have a copy. I'm trying to think.
Cool. I'd love to.
I don't know. We'll have to look into that.
By the time anyone sees this video, there should be a link in the bottom of the description. So check it out if you guys want to see it. It's Dead Daughters. And again, Paul Lear has worked on the color for that. Now, was it the whole movie, Paul, or was it just?
No, it was the whole movie.
Cool. Love to see your work then. I'm gonna check that out for sure.
Yes,
awesome.
That was quite crazy. Yes.
Cool, Paul. So I guess at this point, we're kind of wrapping up here. One of the last things I like to ask my guests is, if you have any specific tidbits or tips that you can give our viewers to get into the industry, now would be a perfect time to tell them, what advice do you have for them?
Work hard. Never stop learning. I have, continuously learned throughout my career, which has gotten me kind of to where I am and what I do now with not only coloring, but I also train colorists around the world, which is how I get out of New Zealand at times. And really try to find a mentor if you can. Try to find someone that will help guide you. That's one thing that I've been pushing lately. I've talked to a couple different people about this, and one of the universities here in New Zealand, because everyone is now able to do these type of things. Anyone has a video camera, you have an iPhone, there's a camera there. You can grab software. You can grab free software like Resolve to grade on, to learn how to color. But you need to learn not only the tool, but then there's the art behind it. And look, if you're a camera person, it's the same thing. There's cinematography. There's, how to frame shots, how to help tell that story. And you really need, it helps to have a mentor, to have someone kind of looking at your work and giving you little tips and guidelines. And if you come to, a colorist or an editor or, someone, ask questions, especially if you're starting out. And then, listen to them, listen to their ideas and what they have. I mean, if I work on a project and it's someone relatively new, I'll show them a whole bunch of different kind of looks, different ideas, and then kind of talk as I go through the project with them, so that they understand a little bit more and can ask, questions and, feel like they're kind of part of the process and not going, oh, I don't really understand this. I'm just going to kind of sit in the corner and drink a nice latte.
Paul, I'd love, if anyone would love to get a hold of you or become a part of your seminars, is there anywhere we can find you online to sign up or check out your stuff?
Yes, I try to keep up online as much as possible.
I know. Colorist, it's hard.
Well, you know what? It's just a time thing. I do tutorials. They're called Baselight tutorials. The system I use is Baselight. It's not Resolve, and it is specialized. So I do online tutorials there. So it's baselighttutorials.com with a hyphen. On Twitter, it's Colorist Paul, and email. Feel free to email me. It's coloristpaul@yahoo.com or google.com. It doesn't matter.
Perfect.
Or Gmail.
Okay.
And totally. I'm always here to help people. I've been helped throughout my 22 years, and happy to return the favor.
Fantastic, Paul. And for the viewers out there, you'll find all those links that Paul just said into our description as well. So click on one of them if you'd like to contact him. Check out his tutorials, and of course, email him for any questions you guys might have. All right, Paul. Well, that's really it. Anything you want to say to our viewers before we get going? We've covered a lot.
No, that's it. But look, happy to answer questions if anyone has any. Just let me know. Or if you want to do this again in a couple weeks, if you have a whole bunch of questions or someone has no idea what I do, I can actually kind of show you some samples maybe.
That'd be fantastic. In fact, let's get the conversation going, guys. If you have any comments or any sort of questions whatsoever, feel free to leave them down at the description as well, or in the comment section, and we'll get back to you guys. We'd like to have maybe a follow-up with Paul later on. So, Paul, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate you on the show, and take it easy, New Zealand, man. Get some rest. I know it's like midnight now. Cool.
Yes, thank you very much. It's been great.
Thanks, Paul. Take it easy, man. Bye.